A school is supposed to provide students with information of education that what they need according to the level they are able to accept. The proposal on why a class system existed in the first place was to ease the delivering of lessons and materials based on grouping of students who have the similar or same academic performance and intelligence or readiness to accept this kind of information. But the problem now is in status quo, the groupings of people in class is actually made by on their age, but in real life this arrangement does not cover, is not effective anymore. Why? Because nowadays a student's intelligence or academic or how ready they are to receive information based on that age is it's not determined by age anymore. The older someone may be, it doesn't mean that they are more ready to receive this kind of information. The older someone may be, it doesn't mean that they are smarter for this or more suitable for this kind of lesson. This has created a problem where in the end of the day, students who are smarter will never receive a proper education to the level where they are supposed to be. And students who are probably having a harder time to understand will continuously be pushed to understand this, even though they do not understand it completely. It will create also an unfair situation between students, an unfair competition too, because there is a clear gap between students who have higher academic performance and students that have lower academic performance. So we as proposition propose a new method to select these students rather than this age-based system, but we would go with an intelligence and academic performance system. So the goal of this grouping based on intelligence and academic system is that because we believe that this method will be able to cover up and cater all the different needs of students later on, so that in the end of the day, students will be grouped based on their understanding so that they will be able to understand the materials better when they have actually enrolled in the class that they will get. So in the end of the day, the quality of education they receive will be better and their human resources of a country will be better because of the better quality of education. So what do we mean by intelligence-based system here? So our model is schools can actually still collect information, for example, names, birth certificates, but this is solely for the purpose of knowing about the student itself, not considering their age to determine their class. Second of all, there will be a test to decide on which class does the students fit in. This test will be done by the government, which is, for in our case, the team who created the national curriculums, where the questions inside these tests will vary across 16 years of all these years. The scores and analysis on, for example, where the students got the questions right and which questions did the student get wrong will determine what year or will the students be capable of, or what year will they be enrolled in. This test could be done online or CBT method or CBT paper, which will make it more effective and less time consuming. The reason why we decided to make this test made by the government, so there is an equal standard of education or the equal standard of score on where students will be enrolled later on based on their academic performance. The questions here will not be only normal questions, but only questions also like HOTS, potential, and other tests. Schools can also collect more information through certificates or experience that the students may have, and also through interviews to further determine whether or not the school believes that they are capable or not to reach that certain level of class. I will deliver three arguments today. First, why does the current system create an unfairness and lowers the education quality? Second, why is age-based not relevant anymore? And third, what is the current harm of age-based system if it continues? First argument, why does the current system create an unfairness? So because of the age has too much impact here, where students will only be viewed based on their age, not whether or not they are capable to receive this kind of education or their academic performance. For example, a 17-year-old student does not have the ability to perform or finish questions required by the 12th grade students, but since this age is 17, they are forced to continue in this 12th grade. And for another case, a 13-year-old that may be able to compete or is already competent enough to receive education of a 13-year-old of a 17-year-old cannot be enrolled in that class because of their age. This makes a condition where these students will never actually be able to give the chance to improve, to actually become better, because they are continuously forced to stick with the methods or materials that aren't suitable for them in the first place. This also creates an unfairness between the students, where students who may be smarter cannot receive the same to receive a better education, and students who are continuously receive a lower academic performance will continuously be judged by the teachers, by the other people, are not receiving too much attention, because the teachers could already assume that the people in that class already understand, when in truth they are not compatible enough or capable enough to actually complete that level of education. Second argument, why is age-based not relevant? First, because the likelihood of an age being competent enough for that class is not always existing, especially now. There are people who are still struggling, even they have reached the age, but they are even forced to compete in this current system. This can be seen from the amount of cheating, how teachers even need to give people extra course just so they can raise up a grade. This shows how many people aren't even compatible to receive this kind of education in the first place. Second point is how there are many more factors surrounding on the intelligence of grouping of people rather than their age. The education that child receives since that people receive since they were a child, their environment, how their parents raised them, their activeness, and their experience of studying itself is a more proper determination or a more proper standard on how capable is a person to actually accept that lesson of the age where that lesson where they are supposed to be in. For example, 15-year-old students who can already reach university, or for example, a 16-year-old student who still has trouble of solving basic algebra. This is real proof that age does not determine the competence of someone anymore. Third is the continuous harm of this age-based system. The continuous harm is this of the student's education standard or education standard created by the government will never be reached in the end of the day. How will it not be reached? Because there will be minimum to zero improvement for these students year to year. The proper standard of education system is that people will always have the same competence or reach the same standard that has been set by the government in the first place. But because of this, there will be minimum to zero improvement, where students with higher abilities will not receive any sense of challenge to actually push and improve their skills at school. Eventually make the money and even time that they put up to school will be no use, because they have already knew about that lesson already. And also students with lower quality or lower capability will also never to be able to properly understand the lessons on this class, because they are not ready to actually receive that lesson yet. This goes against the purpose of school, especially those provided by the government, which is to improve the human resources of a country and improve the people of a country. This will make the 12 years education system won't be effective because the lack of capability for students to actually understand this. So in the end of the day, the intelligence-based system is actually more effective in even improving the students, and it can group students more effectively, so that in the end of the day, the potential of students can be increased, and the standard of education in the country and human resources quality will continuously be increased. Thank you very much.